Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. The taking down of the statues, the painting of the streets of Black Lives Matter, the promises to deal with chokeholds, other type of attacks. All of these supposedly were supposed to be positive steps dealing with the inhumane treatment of a certain portion of this population. Well, we see now that even after that, nothing really has changed. You see, Mr. Blake in Wisconsin is evidence of that. They didn't have cameras on. The police didn't have theirs on, but the cameras are always there, and so you got a chance to see exactly what happened. And so all of the stuff that we talked about did nothing, not a single thing. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is an indication that it doesn't matter how this election comes out with the next president. If it's a repeat of the one or someone new, the game is still the same. Well, somebody should know the truth. And the truth isn't this outcome, this life that we experience as a community, as a nation, as a people. It is not fit. I mean, stuff like that we put in our garbage every day, and we discard it when the junk man comes around to get it out of our house. No, this is our way of life. And we get part of the nation excited about their hope of victory and the demise of the others, and vice versa. And a nation goes no place because somebody, somewhere, is profiting at our corruption, profiting at our division, profiting at our deception. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I find it necessary for me to come before you every day. I get a chance to come and tell you, remind you that this is hell that we're living in. I know you don't think it is, because you can't even imagine what heavenly is like. But I want you to know that this is hell. Even those who you think got the good life, the ones who are making $1 million, the ones who seem to be able to do anything they want to do if money could talk. I mean, what they're doing is nothing compared to what all of us as a people could do if we expressed our loyalty, if we expressed our dedication toward the true God. The true God. And that God we can't see, but we allow that God to live in us. And that God is so magnificent that even though it's in all of us, it works together for the common good of meeting the love that each of us desire and crave, just as when we were in our mother's womb. Even when we came out in those years, those formative years, for those who didn't have to worry about whether they were going to have anything to eat, whether they were going to have any place to sleep, whether they were going to be able to do this or to do that. That kind of life that folds over into the adult world, where the people recognize their personal gifts and see it just as that, a gift that they bring to contribute to society in the process that society goes through as it expands and grows and develops and mature and turn into more beauty. We bring our gifts and contribute that all that we see belongs to all of us. Because there's a family of that spirit that we can't see that's living inside of us brings us to this point. And we don't have to have a racist. We don't have to have a white man or a black man or a man or a woman or anybody dictating to us. Because those things that are beautiful are common amongst us. We don't see anybody above us except God. We don't see that. We just know that. We don't see anyone below us. And we see all things for all of us and all of us for all things. And when we see people coming and trying to divide us, talking about a Republican conservative perspective, just that's right. Talking about a Democratic liberal perspective, that's right. Talking about a socialistic, communistic, dictatorial, all of that is rot. There's only one way, and that's the way that works for you, and 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 the millions and the billions. That's the God that's come to tell you about. And he does not bow down, and I'm sorry for saying he, but that God does not bow down to America. It doesn't bow down to Russia or China. It doesn't bow down to any human government. For it is the only authority of government. And we have legitimized all of these claims by people set up to screw us. And we legitimized it because we were trained to do so. We were trained to do so. And nobody told us that it was a trick. Nobody told us it was a trick. And when someone, whenever it was in history, stood up and began to speak truth to power, they were immediately killed. And since we don't know the truth, none of us want to die. We didn't know that in order to live, we have to be willing to die. And when we are willing to die, we begin to live. And at the point that we die is at the same time that we are birthed into the kind of life that we died for. Let me say that again. When we are willing to die, that's when we begin to really live. That's when we begin to really live. It's when we are willing to die. And at the point of death for what we're willing to die for, that is the same moment that we are born into that for which we died for, life. Now, you never heard that before. Now that you know that life is everlasting, that fear is what keeps you from living, that if you were not afraid, you wouldn't be bending yourself down to no one. And if they want to kill you for being free, that is how they're going to take you out, because you're going to be free. And that powerful God that we can't see is looking for every last one of us to come to that point when we can walk out of this hell into life and willing to pay the price of death to get out of here. You got to know what you're doing to do something like that. And this ain't no jive. So they say, who do you want, a spiritual guy or someone who can get you from point A to point B? You definitely can't get from point A to point B here by somebody else. The only way you can get from A to B here is by you taking up your responsibility. And when you, all of us taking care of our responsibilities, we see the love. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So precious are we the people in the sight of God. Goodbye.